Hey you, yeah you, I'm talking to you sitting on your cell phone or behind your laptop. Lesson 2 is covering nonverbal communication and listening, so perk up those ears and don't throw me any side eye or shade because I can see you through the little computer camera in your phone or your laptop. So nonverbal communication is going to be a rather extensive part of the test and also of your whole learning. So about 70% of what we sort of perceive is nonverbally. And these are messages exchanged beyond words. It's sort of a neurological program kind of thing that's going on in our brains. And a lot of times it's an automatic reaction. So when you taste the lemon or something like that, or you hear a loud sound or you're nervous, people have sort of universal nonverbal tendencies. It's interesting, people who are born blind have the same facial expressions as people who have sight. A lot of these things are culturally based, and sometimes things you do in the United States could get you in trouble somewhere else. So here are some hand gestures. This link is in the folder with this. So a thumbs up is really good here in the United States, but it's an insult in Bangladesh, and in part of the Middle East, you may not want to do this. You want to wave your finger to tell someone to come here. That's usually used for beckoning dogs in Asia, so if you do it to a person, they might be offended. The hook'em horns, or the rock and roll kind of fingers here, are the university's sign of University of Texas, but in Mediterranean and Latin countries, it's their spouse is cheating on them. Looking at your watch obviously is kind of rude, so you don't want to do that. The OK symbol, OK here, but not in other places. V for victory sign, depending if you put your palm forward or backward, has different meanings depending on what's going on and what country you're in. So take a look at this, just sort of learn that some of these gestures may not be the universal kind of symbols that you think they are. Right. So verbal and nonverbal. You can have substituting, where the verbal and the nonverbal sort of work together, where one replaces the other. So if you want to tell a person that yes, you agree with them, you shake your head yes. Sometimes it's complimenting. You say, yes, I agree with you, while you're shaking your head yes. But what happens if it's conflicting, where you say yes, but you're shaking your head no? And the nonverbal accenting one is when you really state it loudly. So it's sort of your vocal kind of thing. So it's not really a word, it's just the way you say something. So keep an idea and those in mind about nonverbal and verbal relationships. All right. I'm not going to read every one of these to you because there's a lot of them. You may want to be familiar with them for the test. But nonverbal falls into a number of different categories. Many of them you don't even think about. Right. So we're talking about the five senses. So again, we sort of predominate with hearing and seeing, but there's other ways of being communicative non-verbally. So you've got fascics, occalics, gestics, haptics, so it deals with touch. We've got kinesics, sorry about that. All right, the way where your posture is, how you walk, and how you stance. And the studies have shown that people who are taller and attractive tend to get raises and get promoted more often than people who don't share those qualities. Spatial communication, really important in some cultures. Space is really sort of not important, so you get really close to people. Other countries, sort of like the United States, we sort of have our own personal space, our own non-sphere of influence. Right? So think about intimate space, personal space, social distance, and public distance. And feel free, you can sort of stop the recording and sort of take a look at these in a little more detail as you go through. So we're continuing with the nonverbal stuff. Right? The rate you speak, the volume you have, the pitch. Where you stress things? Do you pause? Do you know friends who are always on time, who friends are always late? We play basketball with somebody and we know he's always going to be 15 to 20 minutes late, so it's on his time. So usually we don't start until then. Hey, more nonverbal categories. Now we're going to smell. Think about someone making freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. Or when you look for a new house, sometimes they'll put some cinnamon in to make it smell good. Right? Think about mood and beauty. And then think about taste. Sometimes the way to a man or woman's stomach or heart is through their stomach. So again, those are all nonverbal communication things that are going on. All right, to listen up, we're going to talk about listening. There's a difference between listening and hearing. So hearing is a biological activity. Listening must mean you have some kind of reception, where you pay attention to it. You perceive that the message has some importance to you. You assign meaning to the message, that maybe I need to study this for the test, or maybe I need to go get milk and bread at the grocery store. And then you have a response. So listening involves more than just having the sound waves strike your eardrums and then sort of go out the other ear. Activities are going on with listening. And you spend most of your time listening, which you're doing right now. So a lot of education and things that you learn come from listening. Okay? So if you think of me as a credible speaker, then you might pay attention more to this message than if I didn't have any kind of degree in this. Right? The role of the message. So this message hopefully is telling you that you may want to study these things for the test. So that's kind of important. All right? Mediated or non-mediated. So face-to-face communication is non-mediated. I mean, there's no technology, there's nothing coming between you. Mediated communication could be a text you send, an email, an old-fashioned snail mail letter is a form of mediated communication. Right? Synchronous and asynchronous. So synchronous, maybe you're Snapchatting with somebody, that would be asynchronous because they could look at it later. But if you're FaceTiming someone or Skyping someone, that's synchronous. That means it's happening at the same time. So right now I'm engaged in asynchronous mediated communication with you because we're using technology. And you may be watching this a week or two after I posted it. Right? And think about memory and time and how that plays into effect in your listening. In the folder here in this module, you have 4 different videos. Hopefully they're a little humorous and you might enjoy them. And hopefully it'll help you sort of learn the difference between the 4 types of listening. Discriminative listening, comprehensive, therapeutic, and critical. So you're going to have some assignments that deal with these things for your communication journal as well. So take a look at the videos and think about how this might apply to you in your life. So here can be listening improvement. You can share responsibility. You can let people speak and have sort of suspend judgment on them. Practice patience, sort of biting your tongue. Avoid making all the conversations about you. It doesn't always relate to you. Show care with your emotions. Don't get over emotional or under emotional with someone when they're sharing information with you. Again, sort of lean in. Practice your posture. Make sure your arms aren't crossed, that people are sort of listening to you and you're listening to them. Control the distractions, so maybe turn off the music. Get those earbuds out of your ears. Turn down the sound. Tune into the person. If you're having trouble with somebody, times maybe paraphrase what they just said to you, and then visualize sort of talking to this person and making them really important in your life. All right, so you've got a couple exercises that deal with this. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next lesson.